Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Deborah Eckerly, creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I am also the author of your Goal Guide and 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. Getting a theme here. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people to dive into the topic. You might be watching this as GoalChat Live or the replay or listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network. No matter how you found us, we are so glad you're here and choosing, in today's case, the power of dance, because when life gets you down, I think dance is the thing that lifts you up. And boy, do I have a panel for you all today. We have Jen Ballard, who is Joy Scout's girl extraordinaire, dance instructor, and amazing, joyful human being. Missy Lawrence, who also all the above. And thank you to Yael for introducing us. And Missy inspired the topic because we were doing one of those get to know you chats, and I forgot how we digressed to dance. But it doesn't matter because here we are. And Jessie-Sierra Ross, a former ballerina, now go eat well-ish. No. Her website is Straight to the Hips Baby, and she's got a new cookbook out and just all about bringing all the things that you love in life outward so it can elevate you and who you are. And the more you are, I think the better position you are to reach your goals. See what I did there? So friends, please take a moment, introduce yourselves a little bit better, and please share who you are, why you're here, and we'll go from there. Jen?
I'm big. I guess I'm first. Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Ballard. I work in marketing full-time for a motivational speaker named Lisa Nichols. And for my fun side hustle, I teach dance fitness. I took dance growing up all my life, pretty much. And when my kids were little, and I discovered that they had a pseudo dance class at the gym where I had a kids club and could put the kids in, I discovered Zumba. And from that evolved into another dance format called U-Jam, which is Zumba but hip-hoppy. So I fell in love with it, and I became an instructor. It was my goal for my 50th birthday to teach by my 50th birthday, and I made it by 2 weeks. So talk about goals, talk about dance. There's your segue. So I'm excited about today's topic.
Okay, and just quickly tell everybody what Joy Scoutz is.
Oh, Joy Scoutz is a new venture that I'm starting. I don't have a website yet, but I will soon. I was also a Boy Scout volunteer. I have two sons, both Eagle Scouts, 16 years volunteer. When they both eagled out of Boy Scouts and became 18, so they're no longer valid to be members, I looked at my my girlfriends, the moms. We had developed such camaraderie over all these years with our kids in Scouts together, and the moms, formed friendships too. I looked at them and I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss you guys. And so we started meeting up monthly, and Joy Scouts was kind of born from that. So it's a way for women in their 40s and 50s who maybe are empty nest or near empty nest. It's a community to find camaraderie and to find what's next for you. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be earning badges just like Boy Scouts, but fun stuff for girls. So that's the plan.
Well, dance and joy kind of go hand in hand. So yes. Works out really well that you are here. Missy, welcome.
I'm obsessed with Jennifer. It's so crazy. So my first role out of college was a district executive for the Boy Scouts of America.
Oh my gosh. Wow, small world.
My mission was to bring scouting to the inner city. Like the kids in deep East and West Atlanta didn't really do scouting. So I had like the biggest challenge. And I loved just bringing the ethics and the morals and all of the things that scouting teaches you.
It's wonderful.
Yes. And so it's been my life mission to bring like non-duality things together, things that are seemingly disparate, like scouting in the hood.
Yeah, I love it.
of technology and VP of HR, but at the same time being able to like twerk and pop it on a stage. So I was actually like, I loved dance at a very young age, but I'm 6 feet tall. I hit this growth spurt at a very early age, and I felt awkward next to all of the teeny tiny other 6 and 7-year-olds. But I loved tap and jazz and ballet. I just ended up going basketball, volleyball, track, and field, and being like most athletic, you know, as my superlative in high school. And through college, I actually lost a scholarship in basketball and volleyball because of a car accident that left me with a metal plate and 7 pins in the bone. So I couldn't have any contact sports. And that's when dance came back around. I started dancing on the sidelines in football and basketball games just to kind of stay connected. And then fast forward, I was bodybuilding and doing like bikini and figure competitions because I'm very kinesthetic that way. I need movement for my own joy and my own pleasure and happiness, or just to be a decent human. And as I started aging and going through all of these different things with fibroids and hysterectomies and things like that, dance was just like my physical therapy, but it was my actual therapy as well. And somehow I found myself from the back of the class at a Zumba class, much like you, and to the front of the class, and the instructor asked me to start teaching a dance class. And so I got my NASM certification, became a personal trainer on the side, evenings and weekends, while I was doing AI and cybersecurity and digital transformation. So my hashtag is Smarty Pants That Can Dance, because I'm a total nerd. But I really do think of myself as like the Beyoncé of consulting, and I dance is life, and I dance every single day. And I'm just really excited about what I'm doing right now as an executive coach. So I'm the founder of TransformMaven, and a Maven is just someone who's completely turned on by life and any subject or topic, and they are so motivated by what they do that they want to inspire other people to do it. So I believe in holistic coaching, so personal, organizational, and physical. And if we're not looking at physical and movement and the brain science and all of those things coming together, then our other goals, our organizational goals, our personal development goals, they won't matter. And so to me, dance it's so juicy because it touches on every single thing, from neuroscience to the physical benefits to just helping you personally.
I am so with you, and that's why I intertwine personal and professional goals all the time, because they impact each other. If you're happy in life, work will go better, and vice versa. And we can't control everything, but even controlling that little thing, like, I don't know, choosing some good in your life, gonna leak over the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
So glad to have you here. Jessie-Sierra, welcome back to GoalChat. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me, Deb, and I'm so excited to meet and chat with these lovely artists. But yes, as you mentioned at the top of the show, my name is Jessie-Sierra Ross, and I am the creator and personality and now book author behind StraightToTheHipsBaby.com, which is a food and home entertaining blog. And then my newest endeavor has been my cooking and home entertaining book called Seasons Around the Table, which is out now. And I'm doing my media tours and my events and just having an absolute blast meeting people. But before all of that, I was a professional ballet dancer for about 20 years. I started ballet at the tender age of 5 years old and worked my way up. I am originally from Boston, so I trained with all the dance studios in Boston, became a professional contracted ballet dancer with my first company at age 14. Continued to tour and dance with such companies as the Boston Dance Company, Festival Ballet Providence, which I think now is Rhode Island Ballet, as well as dances with Isadora, which is based on the Isadora Duncan technique. I was one of the youngest dancers to be tapped to be included in many different productions with artists from all around the world, including New York City Ballet and Paris Opera Ballet and American Ballet Theater. I eventually semi-retired and went to college at Point Park University in Pittsburgh, at their conservatory, where I earned my degree in dance with a focus in ballet, returned to Boston, started dancing and coaching and teaching, and went up and taught several generations of dancers that went on to Alvin Ailey and Miami City Ballet, as well as different regional dance companies all over the world. But beyond that, dance was my soul. It was my relief. It was my adventure, and it was my comfort place. As a young child that had a speech impediment, extreme social anxiety, and a stutter, the silent art of dance became my sanctuary, and I loved it. I loved being able to be the visual embodiment of music. And I can't do hip hop for the life of me. Same with tap. I only know how to go with the music instead of being on top of the music. So dance has informed almost every part of my life, from the moment of direct focus that you start to develop as a young child to, spending hours on the same movement at the bar over a period of years. You're doing the same exercises, but each time you do it something new. I translated that into my careers as both a professional dancer, a teacher, a coach, and now in this food world where attention to detail is very, very much needed, but also the repetition brings so much comfort to so many people, which I think, especially right now, we need. We need to find joy in small things and small movements and in small actions.
You think about food and dance as being like the opposite, and it's actually the opposite of the opposite, right?
It can be, and I'm sure the ladies can also chime in. I'm of a generation where there was still very much a lot of pressure to maintain your physique at about 20% underweight, and I was 110 to 20 pounds soaking wet at 5'7", all muscle, no fat, no curves, and not a lot of food. Not food with substance. It was about fuel. There was very few times that we were able to indulge without that little, that voice. But I think it's changed, and it's changed for the better. I am seeing young dancers who are healthy, and they have healthy boundaries. They have healthy pleasures. They understand the difference that to be a dancer is to be, I think there's a quote by Albert Einstein, dancers are the messengers of God, right? You can be as close to that spiritual energy as possible, but you do not need to deprive yourself of the joys here and now. And that includes food.
And that we were talking before, it's like joy and dance. They just so easily go hand in hand, because if you ever tried frowning and dancing at the same time, you cannot do it. I mean, I cannot do it. All these elements of putting good into your life so you get to reach your goals, and that power in dance is like the express train, for lack of a better word. And I think, and the other thing that I will mention, so I've got my new book, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, is coming out in January, where I interviewed 60 achievers, and Jessie-Sierra Ross is one of those. So, and this book is all about inspiring joy, inspiring people to live the life they deserve and desire. And I think dance is like the best vehicle to get in that right headspace to conquer the world. What do y'all think?
Totally agree.
1000%. So joy is so subjective. It's like, it's very abstract, but it's very real at the same time, but it means something different to everyone. And I think that's exactly what dance is. The way we express ourselves, it's an outlet. It's a physical embodiment of something that feels very just abstract, that you can make concrete, and you make it real through moving and just expressing yourself. And there's no right or wrong way. I hate when I hear people say I can't dance or I'm not a good dancer. Like,
yeah,
you can walk, you can move your arms, you can do anything. Like, just feeling a rhythm and allowing energy to flow through you is beyond cathartic and cleansing and healing. And not to get too woo about it, but it really will incite joy. So joy is I believe that we're in this epidemic, a new global epidemic of meh, of boredom, of not being turned on by life, just very flat. We're inundated with data and information to the point that our brains are overstimulated and just kind of flatlining. And dance is a way to combat that meh feeling of anti-hedonism, of anhedonia. And it's a clinical condition where we might feel like we're deeply depressed, or you just beyond that, or just stuck or bored. Being able to embody something to help you move is a great way to combat that anhedonia and create like a pleasure and a passion and a joy for your life and for your work and for anything. So if you could think of the worst thing you hate doing about your job, or, you know, having to eat the frog in the morning, like if you could think of creating a rhythm around it, like a song that you like to hear or just music in the background, it will make everything that you do much more pleasurable. I believe that it is the key to joy from a neuroscientific perspective.
That's awesome. Okay, you both are nodding, but Jen, I'm going to go to you first. How do you feel dance and joy work hand in hand?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with what Missy said and what you've said. It's impossible to, you know, for dance not to cheer you up. It brings you out of a funk. It brings you happiness. It drives endorphins in a dance fitness class or in a group dance class of any sort. You know, you have the energy of other people around you. You don't have your phone in your face. You know, all these things. It's music, it's movement, it's expression, it's, you know, it's everything. So it's impossible not to be happy, you know. And you and I have even talked about this, you know, just encouraging people in the middle of the day, time for a dance break, right? If you're feeling like low energy, I even made a shirt for it. Time for a dance break.
Love that.
Absolutely. It can just change your day like that. So yeah, it's definitely my happy place.
I'm glad for the visual aid for those of you who are listening. Jen is wearing a shirt that says time for a dance break. Anytime is time for a dance break. Well, maybe not right this particular second, but if you need that burst,
right,
2 minutes is going to do a heck of a lot of good. Jessie-Sierra, thoughts?
Many. I think, and I'm a huge fan of Zumba. I took my first Zumba class after my kids were born, and I was intimidated, but it's so fun. And you're right, it's the endorphins of moving, it's the upbeat music, it's being with other people. So it's so cathartic too. And I want to emphasize, though, something that I have always found, and I still find it in dance, but as well as in yoga. There's a moment in dance where you're moving through the exercise with music, without music, but it's almost a moment of Zen. Your brain has clued in, it's keyed into that moment right now, not what you're going to eat for lunch later, not if, you know, maybe you had an argument with your kids in the morning or you forgot your coffee on the counter before you left for work. In that moment, you are either standing at a bar and you're doing ronde-jumps, or you're out and you're doing a samba, you know, whatever it is, you are physically present, but also mentally present. You are in your body, because it takes a lot of coordination to move different parts of your body in different zones. So if we're just trying to move one, you know, a leg up and down, you don't need a lot of thought. But when you're moving to music and you're coordinating between all the quadrants of your body, you are rewiring your brain so that those pathways are giving you a feedback loop that is positive as it's working with the endorphins, as it's working with the movements. Plus, it's just really enjoyable to move your body. So for me, dance, whether it's ballet, modern jazz, Zumba, or yoga, or even meditation, it is a form of meditation for me personally, to separate myself away from whatever might be plaguing my mind that morning.
I love that so much. I'm as you're talking, I'm thinking about what Jennifer said too. I have 20 years experience in corporate America, right? And I remember this time doing a strategy session, an offsite for a chief supply chain officer in an oil and gas industry in New Orleans. And I just intuitively felt like they're stuck, like they're not able to break through what they're doing. And you could feel like a divide kind of happening with different thinking. And so after lunch, I had the cha-cha slide playing. As people started coming in, they started to just, some people did. And by like 5 minutes later, the entire group, like as diverse as you could possibly think, of different ages and genders and backgrounds, were all connected, and the ideas were just flowing. And so at every single offsite I do, I try to figure out a way to make sure that we're stealth mode, kind of sneaking dance into places where you wouldn't naturally think about it. And I have to find the link and send it, to your listenership, Deb, because I have it posted somewhere on my Instagram at TransformMaven, of this corporate offsite of, white collars and suits actually dancing and problem solving, because their brains literally needed that break that, Jessie's talking about.
Yeah.
I love that.
In my job, we have dance in our Zoom meetings, and our big challenges and our online events with 1,000 people from around the world in a Zoom call. Yeah, we have music playing. We have, dance in between the different sessions and things like that. It's kind of a reset. It gets you back. It takes away the boredom. It resets everything and puts you in the right frame of mind, like you were saying, for being open to the content and what you're learning. So it's fantastic.
And perhaps each of you can send me a link for the recap of, because I know you've got flash mobs, Jen, and
Yes.
I am really curious to watch the corporate cha-cha with Missy, and I am certain Jessie-Sierra can find something. If you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, you will get to watch the replay and read the recap, and we will have a fun dance link from each one of the guests. And I will even see if I've got something from when I was doing UJAM in LA, because every now and then there would either UJAM or hip hop. I'll see if I can find a video, because I don't like to ask people things that I wouldn't do myself. And yes, let's like claim dance as the best medicine for anything and everything. And when you were talking about corporate before, Missy, I remember I did a stint. I worked I was director of communications and financial services, and I did dance breaks in the office too. Not that often, but it's much more freeing to do them at home. It was like, Deb, what are you doing? Do we need to install a disco ball in your office? Not a bad idea. No, but it was just a way to shake off the day and be able to move forward, no matter what your environment is. And even if you don't want to, go in the restroom. If you, instead of sobbing uncontrollably because your day is out of control, try and dance. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was mentioned, not some people think they can't dance. Why do people think that, and how can we fix them?
I'm going to say, I feel like, Jess will have better answers, but we compare ourselves to the Jesses of the world. Like it's not my profession. So I don't do finance, so I'm not financial. I'm, my sister's in advertising and wildly creative, so I'm not the creative one, right? We're constantly labeling ourselves and compartmentalizing ourselves and not thinking of movement as a normal, natural birthright. When you're come out of the womb or you're a baby and you're learning to walk and crawl, you're not like, oh, I can't dance. Something happens where we feel like we have to judge ourselves, or if we feel like we're not as good or technical or skilled as someone else. But what even is dance? Who says if you're dancing or if you're not dancing, right? So yes, there are styles and there are techniques, but I think that self-limitation is the issue. And what we need is self-reverence. And so if I'm happy and I want to express that through movement, then I can do that. If I'm frustrated and I want to express that through movement, I can do that. All of that is a form of dance, like capoeira, dance fighting, right? There's so many ways to dance. And I just think that dance gives us so much insight about ourselves. So even just asking yourselves the question of, do I think I can dance? Am I free to dance? Like, can I sing? Can I dance? Those are things that are very personal and very emotional, but we compare ourselves to someone who does it as a profession, and that limits us and doesn't give us the ability to really honor ourselves and allow ourselves to move through those emotions.
So if you need permission, you have it from all of us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Jessie-Sierra, what do you think limits people? Why do people think they can't dance, and how can we fix them?
I think I want to build on what Missy said, because I agree completely. I think that at some point in our lives, we lose that spark of joy. Having watched my 3 boys who knew how to dance innately, they just knew how to dance. Whether it was, we used to call my eldest son, he would do this little, like, we called it Elvis pelvis. He would just kind of shake to music when he was 18 months old, and it was Elvis pelvis. To my youngest son, who has never had any dance training at all, he is suddenly doing like tap dancing and singing, and they all do martial arts, which is almost like a form of dance in itself, because it's using, again, the same neural pathways for coordination. And it may not be to music, but you're using your breath as your sound. I think what happens is that societal pressures come in. So children will dance, you'll see them dancing. I used to teach child dances and choreograph for them and all that. And up until age 9, they're free. They're completely free. Whether you as the observer think they're dancing well or not to adhere to a technique, or they're dancing for the joy of it, which is absolutely always there. Up until age 9, they'll do it. Sometimes at that sort of turning point, which must be about 3rd, 4th grade, they're getting messages. They're getting societal pressure to say, don't do that. You can't dance like that. No, you're not that great. And I think what we need to do is to stop the negative feedback and keep encouraging. And that's something that I do with my sons, because I started to see that. I started to see that they got self-conscious, they got stiff, and I encourage them. We have kitchen dance parties. I think turn on music. Move yourself in a way that you enjoy, without mirrors, without people around at first, for the joy and love of dance, and then just go out, because it goes back to that old idea of like, oh, I need a martini before I can go out there and shake my booty. No, that's about loosening your inhibitions, right?
Yes.
That we're giving ourselves permission because we've had that drink. You do not need the drink to go out there and shake your booty. I do, and there's nothing like moving. Moving is what we were made to do. It's when we stop moving that things go haywire. Our bodies were meant to breathe, to move. Our lymphatic system won't work properly unless we're going up and down and shaking to and fro. And dance gives us a way to do that. So for me, I think it's a lot about the messaging that we teach our children. And also for us as adults, it's doing that almost shadow work of saying to ourselves, I'm okay. I'm okay as I am. I'm okay how I look. I'm okay how I move, how I hear music, and just go.
Yeah, I totally agree. I in my UJAM classes, in the introduction, the first 2 minutes of class, I always introduce, this is the U in UJAM is for unity. This is a safe place. There's no judgment here. We take people all shapes, all sizes, all abilities, everything. And if you don't get the choreography, just keep it at a step tap, as long as you're moving. As long as you're moving and you're having fun and you have a smile on your face, you'll get it. Come back. In fact, I observed things over the years of being an instructor, and I wrote a lead magnet called 25 Ways to Rock Your Dance Fitness Class. It's like a getting started guide for people to get over that intimidation factor. And I say things like, don't worry about the front row. They're just further along the path than you are. They've been dancing longer. As long as you're having fun and you're setting your own pace, that's fine. You're right. It's so much mindset. As long as you just let go and let yourself have fun and let yourself move and breathe, and you get better. And Yeah. Another thing, like you were saying, Jessie-Sierra, about the, the pathways and everything. There has one of my sons is Asperger's, and when he was going through some counseling and some training and some things like that, one of the things that they taught us was that anything that is a bilateral movement, like martial arts or dance or things like that, where you're opposing, that's all building the neurons that help with those problems too. So it's fantastic in lots of different ways.
Every time you cross the midline of your body, you're stimulating more gray matter. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. So
it's also with the music as well, because when you're coordinating yourself with the music, it's also creating stronger short-term memory connections too. I will say that for myself included, like my memory is spot on. That's why I always win every argument with my husband. But it's one of those skill sets that especially if you started from a young age, even in athletics, it doesn't matter what type of movement you're doing, really, you are stimulating your brain to think greater, to think bigger, to use the different portions of the brain as a whole versus focusing on one area to grow and stimulate. There is a lot of science to back this up, as well as science behind pain management and endurance with dancers in particular. They have a greater pain tolerance than even professional athletes because of the way that we have such a physical connection to our body, that we recognize that sometimes pain can occur as a response to something that's actually happening in that moment, or it could be a physiological or traumatic response as nothing that's actually happening now. It's just the body trying to protect itself. So dance and movement in general has such an innate connection to the way that our brain develops, but also how we maintain our brain health.
Yeah. Dancing makes you smarter. I have to find a cool, like there's a statistic somewhere, like dancing makes you richer and wealthier. You're more resilient. You can think through, you can problem solve differently. Mark Cuban comes to our dance class on Saturday mornings. Really? And he's had like hip surgeries. Yeah. So like he gets out there, like you're saying, Jennifer, just two-step when you can't think through anything else, you'll get it. It just comes with repetition and learning, and the neuroplasticity of learning something new, whether it's the choreography or the songs or meeting the new people. It's just nothing but benefits. So
yeah, absolutely.
When Jessie-Sierra was talking before about, you don't need a drink to dance, when I was in college on the speech team, we were practicing for one of the competitions had this famous dance competition. So the speech team would go practice ballroom dancing. So we would be ready. And the thing that I realized is you can't drink and twirl at the same time, because if you drink and you twirl a lot, you fall down. And no one wants that. Am I wrong?
Facts for life.
Dance long enough to get the endorphins. You don't need the drink.
Well, and I went through, and I always loved to dance. I went from ballroom dancing, and then after I graduated from college, I went to line dancing, because when you move back to your hometown after college, usually the ballroom dancers are not your age. The fact that I am now the age of the people who I thought were too old to dance with when I was out of college is just like, but anyway, so I started doing line dancing. So there's always, whether you're going to clubs or ballroom or line dancing or dancing at home to get your energy up so you could be smarter, more productive, have more joy in your life. I think anything goes. Do you all have like an early dance memory when you notice that power?
The power to feel joy, or the power to
the power of dance, when you're like, oh, dance and me were BFFs. Do you remember when you realized that?
I have two very distinct memories. I have one where it was the audition. I was auditioning for my very first ballet studio, and there was a panel. This was an old school Russian type ballet school, and they had the girls line up, and they'd look at our feet, they'd see how flexible we were, do a couple of steps, And I was a very flexible young lady, but I had the attention span of a fruit fly. So I was like looking around, looking at the other girls. They were doing what they were supposed to be doing. And the teachers and the panel, they were looking at me. And I finally clued in to the last movement. The teacher got up and did a beautiful curtsy, and every girl did their curtsy. And I finally was like, oh, this is what we're doing. And I did a beautiful curtsy. And suddenly the panel was twittering. They're like, oh my God. And that was my first time realizing that this was something I was good at, and that there was an innate connection to it. The second time that I remember is many years later. I was a principal dancer, and I went on stage and we were doing Carmina Burana. And it's a very powerful vocal piece. And I was playing this very powerful woman. And going on stage, dancing this piece, and realizing in that moment that I had complete control over the audience's attention. For this one moment, they were mine, I was theirs, and it would never happen again in this way ever again. Because you can practice, you can, do the dance 20 times, but every single moment that you're on stage, it's different than the night before. And that is a power that I think more people, particularly women, need to tap into, is that you're taking up space. Like, for right now, I'm going to sit up straight. I'm going to grab that attention. And I'm not even saying a word. I'm doing this to music. So to translate that confidence and that eye-catching sort of, I'm here, you will not ignore me, is so important for people in a professional world doing these jobs where we need to be seen.
I was talking before about competitive public speaking, and the feeling you described is exactly why I love this so much. Bringing voices together that need to be heard, but also when you command any stage and you feel like you are in your power, everything is possible. So thank you for that really strong reminder, because we do have the power. We just forget, right?
Absolutely. And dance is really great at bringing you back to center, back into your physical grounding. And I think that's something that every person should get in touch with.
Awesome. Missy, do you have an early dance memory to share?
Yeah, it's the opposite of Jess. maybe more people can resonate with this, and this is why they think they can't dance, or they shouldn't dance, or they don't dance. But I'll bring it back full circle. But my signature dance class and method is called Confidence. Like, replace the E with the A for that reason, because I'm 6 feet tall. I'm not a small. There was no Misty Copeland when I was growing up. And I want to send you all this picture too, because it's so funny and awkward. I hit a growth spurt at a very early age. When I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I was probably already close to 5'10". I was playing varsity basketball by the time I was in 6th grade. So I loved to dance, but I didn't realize that I felt like I looked like maybe like remedial. Like, I got kept back from all the cute little like girls like that were just kind of like, kind of learning like first position, second position. And I felt like, when we took the group pictures and the photos, that I'm a foot taller than everyone and I'm more shapely. I looked and felt like I was probably 14 next to the other 7 and 8-year-olds. So I stopped because I felt so different and uncomfortable. And I was also the only mixed or Black kid. So I was the biggest. I was taught, like, I was teased. I was called the Jolly Brown Giant. It's kind of funny to say now. But yeah, I didn't feel comfortable in traditional dance environments that were designed for teeny tiny little white people. It just didn't feel natural for me. And so fast forward now, we have people like a Misty Copeland, who's been like the first Black ballerina, outside of like what is it, Alvin Ailey? Just like, so
dance theater Harlem, Alvin Ailey. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more,
she broke walls.
Yeah, so it's more acceptable now to not look a certain way or fit a particular demographic or even body shape and presence to be able to dance. Like, wow, my body still moves and can do these things. It doesn't mean that I can't do these things. And so that was kind of my earliest memory around dance, was that it wasn't designed, or it wasn't for me in like a professional sense. You know, it wasn't acceptable. I wasn't allowed. I didn't belong in the dance world. And I don't feel that that is the case anymore. And I don't want anyone to ever feel like that ever again. And that's what confidence is all about. So I do pop-up shops where I'll go into Mac or like a Bumble, and you can get your makeup done and have a mini makeover, and I'll do a dance class. Or we'll go into like Lorna Jane or Fabletics or Athlete, or like these different stores, and just do a pop-up class and bring dance to people in ways that they wouldn't, traditionally do it, just to get people to believe that, oh, I can see someone doing something as simple as a grapevine and a two-step. So I'm dancing it and I can do it. And there's clothes for me to be able to do it that fit my height and my shape. Like everything around dance at an early stage just was like a breakup, like a love-hate relationship. And so now it's definitely more accepting and belonging, and it's unity through dance versus being ostracized.
I'm really curious, what flipped the switch from feeling the awkward to the belonging in dance for you?
It actually, even when I was 34, 35, I was still so intimidated about my body, and I was a model and like a bikini figure competitor, but I just compartmentalized myself, like I said before, about being like self-limiting versus self-reverence, and owning that power and holding the frame that Jess is talking about. I thought, well, I'm a VP of IT. What if someone from my company sees me twerking on stage? Like, I gotta be in the back. I have my booty cape on, I wear a shirt around my waist, and I still do that sometimes to this day, because is it okay for me to do the exact same dances that other people are doing, but my body's going to shake and jiggle and wiggle more? Like, that isn't something I think that goes away. We just have to know that voice is there and rearrange the energy and transmute it and say, I can do this. I do belong. It is okay. My brain still works the same. It actually works better. And it's why I am a high achieving, high performing person. And yes, I can be an executive in corporate America or in technology, and also know how to move and be sensual and feminine at the same time. So combating that duality and the compartmentalization that we do and that self-judgment that we do, that's the lifelong work. So we just have to be aware of it and choose to do it in that moment. It for me, it doesn't necessarily go away.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's something important that a lot of people are nodding as they're hearing. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jen, when did you discover dance? What was your earliest dance memory?
Oh gosh. I was in tap and ballet when I was 6, maybe. I have these pictures of me in this little either red or blue tutu with the satin, and then the big poofy, tutu skirt with these little tap shoes on. We would do so silly, but it was cute. And the thing I realized was that I kind of did dance in fits and starts. So we lived there, and then we moved away, and I didn't have a dance class in the new place. And then we moved again, and I found a dance class, and I loved it again. And then I quit again when I made cheerleading squad, because it didn't sync up with my schedule. And then every time I missed it, I always missed dance. And so, yeah, it was just a part of life because I was so little. And another thing, one kind of realization that I had was, I would go dancing with my friends in college or whatever. They're like, wow, you're a good dancer. I'm like, it's because of ballet. You know, they're like, ballet, that's nothing like this. We're at the club, man. What are you talking about? This ballet. I'm like, I just know how to move. You know, I know how to separate the pieces of my body and breathe. And yeah, it's just like everyone else has said, it just kind of becomes part of you and you can't really escape it. I do have kind of a funny story about not being able to escape. So I was so into ballet when I was in middle school for a few years. I was living it. I was always like, you know, in the posture and everything. My feet were always turned out. And I made the cheerleading squad and I was the tall girl, not as tall as you, but taller than some of the other tiny little cheerleaders. So I was the base. And they're like, okay, you got to lean over and I'm going to sit on your backside. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't stick my butt out because I'm like bending straight. It's like you're doing ballet, keep it all sucked in. And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you stick your backside out? I had to like physically like push my hip. I'm like, oh, that feels wrong. It just felt so wrong.
Yeah.
Because I was just, you know, always in ballet mode. So yeah, it just becomes a part of you. Eventually I learned how to, you know, do that movement and let the girl sit on my back, but it was crazy funny. But to be more serious about it, I would say some of the moments that really strike me, like you guys have shared, teaching, you know, and the stories I hear about, you know, someone who's going through a really hard time or got through a weight loss situation or a, you know, a health scare or a divorce or something. And this is their 1 hour this week where they can just let go and be happy. That just makes all the difference to know that you're helping somebody. Yeah, I once had a hearing impaired student, and that was really rewarding too. It's just, you know, he could feel the bass pounding, and he followed along, and he did amazing. He was an amazing dancer, and it's just so cool to see the lives that you can affect and make a difference. So it's really rewarding.
So I think we concluded that dance makes everything better. It makes you healthier, smarter, more agile. And listening to you talk, Jen, I remember because I did ballet and tap and whatever when I was a kid. But when I think of my early dance memories, I go to college and what I was doing earlier, because that was, you know, a way to express. I would go karaokeing to be a backup dancer. And Jen and I have karaoke together, and she knows that I am a way better backup dancer than singer.
You did great either way.
But that's when you do the things that make you feel the most you,
yeah,
that elevates you. And dance is something that anyone can do. You just have to accept the dancer inside of you and let it go, right?
Yes, anybody can do it. Absolutely.
I feel like this is the perfect time to gift some goals to the audience. So what is something anyone could do today, tomorrow, immediately to embrace dance and the positive impact it can have on your life? So Jen, what goal do you wish to gift?
I would say find time to dance every day. It can be 2 minutes. Stand up from your desk and turn on one song and just move. It doesn't matter how you move, just move and get your blood flowing and get your body moving and get into the music and find time every day and see how it makes you feel.
Awesome. Missy, what goal do you wish to gift?
I need everyone to have signature mantras and affirmations. So if you could create one mantra for your life that incorporates dance. So I dance through discovery. I dance through discernment. I dance doubt away. Like just come up with something and think of like the dance of insight in the metaphor of dance. And then you can start with the physical affirmations of I am a dancer. I can dance through this, and just start to tell yourself that and watch what happens and see that magic kind of spark in you.
Ooh, I love that so much. And if we have a minute, and I'm going to ask you all what your dance mantra is in a second. But first, Jessie-Sierra, what goal are you gifting?
I don't know if I can top these two goals because I think they're absolutely the most important is to dance with intention and also to find time for movement each and every day. I think we can always, I mean, I used to do this when my children were young just to keep the rhythm, and the idea of dance is to turn on any sort of music when you're cooking dinner. But I would say my goal for somebody is to, the next time you're at a holiday party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, any place where there's a band or a DJ or music playing, when someone comes over to you and says, "Do you want to dance?" You say yes. And if there's no one dancing on the floor, you get up and you ask someone to dance, or get out there and start it. Because oftentimes we have to start it.
Yes.
Because everyone is feeling the same exact thing. We're a little self-conscious. We don't know what to do. I'm a bit known for doing that at weddings, getting up and starting it, because it gives permission for everybody else to join you.
I have an add-on to that, a trick. So if you're feeling really intimidated about being the first person going out on the floor at the wedding or whatever, grab a little kid.
Yes.
And they will dance with you.
They're brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, raise your hand if you're always the first person on the dance floor anywhere.
Definitely.
We all raised our hands, except for Missy raised her hand with a little shrug.
You know my issue. I told you.
Okay. But seriously, every single place, I am the dance starter, as are most of us, because we just can't help ourselves, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Such a really important, invigorating conversation today. Thank you all so much. Where can people learn more about you and all that you do? Jen?
Gosh, which address should I give? I could give my LinkedIn address, linkedin.com/Jen Ballard, or I do have a website where I create dance fitness related t-shirts, and I will soon have my lead magnet, the 25 Ways to Rock Your Dance Fitness class, up. And that's discoballdesigns.com. So come check out. And I want to create, Missy, a shirt that says confidence.
Oh,
so.
the wheels are already, I'm there. Like, I'm calling.
Yeah, let's collaborate. I love it.
There is a reason I put certain people together, and now we know.
No,
Missy, where can people learn more about you?
Yes, Instagram at TransformMaven. So 2 M's, TransformMaven, but all together as one word, or at Missy Manifesting Magic.
So cool. Okay, and Jessie-Sierra, where can people learn more about you and your new book?
Absolutely. You can visit my website, straight-to-the-hipsbaby.com, and you'll see all of my recipes, home entertaining tips and tricks, as well as stories about my background in dance. You can also find me on social media at Straight to the Hips Baby, and sign up for my brand new newsletter via my website. And it's called Jessie-Sierra, The Last Bite, and it's on Substack, and it's my honest opinions about food, drink, and exclusive recipes, behind the scenes looks. It's like you're talking to me like this. It's very straightforward. It's very fun. And I just have a passion for sharing, teaching, and enjoying everything that's beautiful in this life.
Awesome. Yes, I think that's a common sentiment of the panel, sharing that joy and hoping it leaks out over other people's lives. And as I mentioned before, I am at the Deb Method everywhere. You can go to thedebmethod.com/blog to get the links and the goals and the takeaways from the conversation. And if you need a little bit of help with your goals, you can grab a copy of your goal guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, and or pre-order 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting, or just go to thedebmethod.com and get inspired and see how I can help you live the life you deserve and desire. Okay, before final thoughts, I really want to know everybody's dance mantra. Missy, go. You started it.
it's always dance like Beyonce is watching.
Mm.
I'm like, that should have been the, like, how did I become Beyonce's best dancer? How do I make that happen?
Amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Jessie-Sierra?
It's a similar vein. When Jennifer was talking about how dancers, especially ballet dancers, are very strict with their form, it took me years to be able to shake my butt.
Yeah.
So now it's loosen up, girl. That's my mantra.
Love
Like
it.
dance, just dance for the sake of it, the joy of it, the pleasure of it. Yeah, shake your booty would be my mantra.
Loosen up more, shake your booty. Awesome. And Jen?
All right, I'm coming up with this on the fly. I could pull it off of Boy Scouts. whose mantra
You're all about the slogans, isn't that?
I know. Well, there are too many to choose from. So,
Okay.
Boy Scouts motto is do a good turn daily. So I'll play off of that and say, dance a good turn daily. That's kind of dorky, but that's okay. Yeah, in general, just encourage people to always dance, and you can dance if you want to play off an 80s cheesy song. You can dance if you want to. And if your friends don't dance, they're no friends of mine.
Jen, that kind of sounds like a final thought.
Ooh.
You can dance if you want to, right? Or do you have a different final thought?
Oh, I think that's fine. I think that's a good one. You can dance if you want to.
And Jessie-Sierra, what is your final thought?
My final thought. Silence that little voice that's telling you can't do anything. Whether it's dance, whether it's going for that new job, whether it's baking a cake, you can do anything that you want to do. Dance.
I'm gonna stick with it. You could do anything, because that voice has no place in GoalChat or in your head. And Missy, final thought.
Yeah, my close friend Samara Bay wrote a book called Permission to Speak, and I think everyone should take that with them in everything that they do. And you have permission to dance. You don't need anyone else's. It is your birthright. You have permission to take up the space that you've been put here on the planet to do, and in all the spheres and stages of your life, you have permission. So just do it.
And if you didn't have permission before, you've got permission from all of us, because dance can enhance your life in so many ways that you don't even know until you start dancing. So thank you all again so much for today's conversation. Jennifer Ballard, Missy Lawrence, Jessie-Sierra Ross. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching this as GoalChat Live, watching the replay, or listening to us as the GoalChat podcast on the Marketing Podcast Network. Your dance, your joy is your right in life. So go on out there and claim it. Go for it, because we know you can do it.